In a world that feels so chaotic a lot of the time, just finding a moment of calm can feel like a huge challenge. So today, we're going to explore this really powerful idea. How do we actually shift from a life run by fear to one grounded in faith? And how do we find a peace that, well, isn't shaken by everything going on around us?
I mean, let's be honest, for pretty much all of us, the answer is a big yes, right? Whether it's the news headlines or personal struggles or just that day-to-day pressure, that feeling of being completely overwhelmed it's super common, and it's so important to know you're definitely not alone in feeling that way.
So, to figure out a new way forward, we kind of have to get real about where we are right now. Let's start by just acknowledging that feeling, that anxiety that bubbles up whenever life feels uncertain.
It really feels like every single day there's a new reason to worry, doesn't it? Could be global events, could be personal health, career stuff. It's just so easy to feel like we're just along for a ride that we have no control over. And that feeling of powerlessness, that's a huge source of anxiety for so many of us. And this is what that fear actually looks like in our daily lives. It might be that constant low-grade hum of worry in the back of your mind. Or maybe it's that desperate need to try and control every little outcome just so you feel safe. Sometimes it's that pit in your stomach when you think about what's next, or just that vague feeling of being lost, like you're adrift without a map. These are the real ways that fear shows up.
Okay, but what if there's another way to live? This is really the turning point here. The whole idea is that there's a powerful alternative to a life run by fear. There's a different invitation on the table, a call to faith.
And this, right here, this is the core concept. It's not about pretending problems don't exist. It's a really profound invitation to change our entire operating system, to shift our foundation from the shaky ground of fear to the solid rock of faith.
And this just lays out the choice so clearly. You see, fear obsesses over all the what-ifs, all the unknowns, which of course just leads to anxiety and that frantic need to control things. Faith, though, it completely flips the script. Instead of trying to control, we learn to trust. Instead of being rooted in uncertainty, we root ourselves in the belief that there's a bigger plan. It's a total shift that takes us from anxiety to peace.
Now that all sounds really good in theory, but what does it actually mean to trust? Let's break down the practical side of this. What does trusting in God's promises really look like day to day?
Okay, so here's the crucial point. Trust isn't some blind leap in the dark. It's a conscious choice. It's looking at your situation with all its messy challenges and unknowns and actively deciding to believe that God's character, His goodness, is actually more real and more reliable than whatever you're facing.
And that's the next logical question, isn't it? If we're going to put our trust in these promises, we kind of need to know what they are. What's the solid ground we can actually stand on when everything else feels like it's shaking? And this is that solid ground. It's the promise of His unwavering presence, the truth that you are never, ever truly alone. It's the promise of His perfect guidance, like a lamp for your feet when you have no idea what the next step is. It's trusting in His ultimate goodness, believing He can work things for good, even the parts that make no sense to us. And maybe the most powerful of all, it's the promise that His strength shows up most in our moments of weakness.
So now that we know what to trust in, the next piece is the how. How do we actually do it? This next part is all about the active process of letting go of our need for control and learning to truly rest in His plan.
Here's the simple, practical roadmap for you. First, just be honest. Acknowledge your fear, name it. Don't let it just lurk in the shadows. Second, you fight that fear by actively remembering His promises, the ones we just talked about. Third, and yeah, this is the tough one, you consciously release your grip. You surrender the outcome. And finally, you make the choice to rest, to trust that His plan is working even when you can't see it.
This is such an important point. In our culture, the word resting can sound passive, like you're just giving up or being lazy. But in this context, it's the exact opposite. It's an act of incredible strength. It actually takes way more courage to actively trust and rest in a plan that's bigger than yours than it does to frantically try and control everything yourself. So we've looked our fear in the eye, we've chosen faith, and we've practiced what it means to rest in His plan. So, what's the result? What's the ultimate outcome of making this journey? Unshakable peace. That's it. That's the destination. A peace that isn't fragile, that doesn't just vanish the second our circumstances take a nosedive. And let's be really clear about what this is. This isn't just about feeling happy for a moment or a temporary sense of relief. It's a deep, internal calm that can exist even when the world outside is a total storm. And why is that? Because its source isn't our situation. Its source is the quiet confidence that God is in control. And this brings us right back to the beginning. This is the payoff. This is the peace that's available to us when we choose to live by faith instead of by fear. It's the calm that comes from truly resting and trusting that even in the most unpredictable, confusing moments of life, there is a loving and sovereign plan at work.
So, as we close this out, I want to leave you with this one question. This isn't about trying to solve all your fears at once. It's just about starting with one. What is one worry, one uncertainty, one fear that you can make a conscious choice to release into His hands right now, today?